Hi there, my name is Jens, I'm a German engineer, I'm a motorcycle enthusiast, and this is probably, I guess, my first video on English. I made around 500 videos on YouTube, but they're all in German, but I thought maybe some English speakers would enjoy this content, so I try my best to speak English. Please be gentle on me, it's not my mother tongue. But let's start today with the Triumph Speed Triple 1200 RS. Since 1994, the Brit has been built. It helped create the power naked segment and truly found its culmination in the first 1200. But the 1200 really had a brutally stiff suspension and really limited electronics. With the latest update, there are no more excuses. Let's dive in and start with the engine. The engine base is the old 1200 from 2021, or to be more specific, it's an inline 3-cylinder with 1160 cubic centimeters. It now produces 183 horsepower at 10,750 RPM and 128 Newton meters at 8,650 RPM. Surprisingly, it's designed with a short stroke with a bore and stroke ratio of 90 by 60.8 millimeters. Surprising, because a short stroke usually means it likes to rev high, and sure enough, it does need some revs, but boy oh boy, does this have a torque band. So if someone asks you what is the most performant hyper naked bike you know, it's like we all name the same. It's a Ducati Streetfighter V2, it's a KTM Superduke 1390, it's maybe a BMW M1000R or it's an Aprilia Tuono, but no one mentions the Speed Triple in first place. But now take a look at this torque band. And I also want to show you the torque band of the Yamaha MT10, which is known to be the master of torque. And if that's still not enough, here's the torque curve of the Streetfighter V4. The only bike that can keep up with the Speedy or top that is a Superduke 1390. That's a brutal torque from the Speedy, but I know why it's not in those top lists. It delivers power and torque controlled, linear and refined. It's British understatement. In sport mode, it really responds immediately to the throttle, which on wet roads really was something too much, even for the electronic. But even in road mode, with less aggressive throttle response, it's incredibly confident. Before overtaking on country roads, better shift up a gear so you don't immediately tailgate the car ahead. Super controllable with no flat spots or hiccups in the power delivery. And suddenly, this engine with 180 horsepower makes completely sense. You don't need all that power. But if you're just rolling somewhere and you want to overtake a car, you don't have to look at the ref range, you don't have to check your gears, you don't have to gear down, you just give it a little twist and it's all done and settled. On country roads, second and third gear are enough, and if you don't have long stretches where you have to go like 120 kilometers per hour, second gear alone is fine. It goes well over 150 kilometers indicated. Full throttle? Well, better not. First gear lifts the front wheel very quickly, and even in second gear at 6,000 RPM, the wheelie control kicks in immediately. But this is a British bike with manners. Totally chill cruising, no problem. It pulls away smoothly, no jerks, no twitching, minimal load changes. Seriously, this thing is even great for touring. If there's one fault from the engine, that the only thing you can complain at this engine is that the roads are just too small for them. Other drivers seems like NPCs standing still, like really, like hands down. I've driven a lot of bikes, like around 150 bikes, but considering the balance, the power delivery, how easy it is to use, the amount of torque you get, I guess this is the best super naked bike I've ever ridden. And as I said, I've ridden quite a lot. And I get the point that a Streetfighter V4 is more impressive, or KTM Superduke, it slaps much harder, and Tuono V4 sounds a lot better. But overall, like the complete package of usability, this is the best engine, at least for German roads. But speaking of the sound, well, that's not so great. The throttle response is great, no physical free play, but a digital one, very direct connection to the engine. Service-wise, Triumph isn't cheap at all, but the big service with the valve adjustment and swing arm grease comes only at 32,000 kilometers, which is okay. Except for the sound, this is the perfect country road engine. The suspension is really important to me because the last bike I had, now I own a Streetfighter V2, before I had a BMW S1000R, and I was considering the BMW or the Triumph, the old 1200, and I went for a test ride, and this was horribly steering because the damping was so hard. So I turned it all the way out, so it was very soft, or tried to make it very soft, but it was just not possible to get it to fit to country roads. The old 1200 is purely made for race tracks, and that was pretty much annoying. So I went for the BMW. And did it change now? Well, no, not completely. The Speedy has a very solid static setup. The wheelbase is a bit long, the trail is also quite large, and the rake of 66.1 degrees is fine. Fully fueled up, it weighs 199 kilos. That's light for a bike with this size of an engine, and the tires are 120/70 and 190/55 Pirelli Supercorsa SP. And while all these numbers suggest stability, well, the bike is ultra precise in turns, it's light on its feet, and it's easy to ride. You hit the line perfectly once you know it. Because of the engine size, it's not as flickable as the smaller Street Triple I rode the same day, requiring more strength and pure will to lean it from side to side. It's actually quite similar to a Tuono. The Streety also comes with top components from Brembo, like these Dilemma calipers, MCS master cylinder, and the handlebar width of 810 millimeters. 825 would have been better, but it's fine. Brakes work extremely well, almost too aggressive, and they have these nice silver shining Jejuan steel braided lines. At 199 kilogram, it's 1 kilo heavier due to all the electronics and the stupid Euro 5 Plus shit. But thanks to the end cans, wheels, and a lithium polymer battery, they kept it from adding 5 kilogram. And also less rotating and unsprung mass is always good. But let's jump to the dampers itself. So 120 millimeters in the front and the back is not a lot. And when I first rode it, the demons from the past came back immediately. I was 3 kilometers on the German Autobahn and my back already complained. But then I took a short break, switched it to soft on the electronic suspension, and voila, working dampers. The new Speedy has Olin Smart EC3 suspension, adjustable with just a few button presses. It first appeared on the new Fireblade, now here on the Speed Triple, and this third generation is seriously next level. It uses spool valves, meaning damping isn't just shim and needle based, but uses sliding valves for faster, more precise and wider range adjustment of oil flow. What does it do? It uses semi-active algorithms that react differently depending on their riding mode. You can still fine-tune damping individually in each mode, and it has an objective-based tuning interface that automatically adjusts preload and respond to specific situations like braking or weight shifts. Hard braking stiffens the front fork and even lowers the center of gravity under acceleration, like the MotoGP ride height device. Bam! I mean, I'm trying not to swear, but fuck, that is fucking awesome. I'm seriously impressed with that. So you may have two questions. Do I recognize that the suspension is working or changing while I'm riding? And what is the benefit? So to answer the first question, basically, no, you don't. You sometimes you feel how it stiffens up, but it's in a very short period of time. So no, normally it just works. That's to answer the first question. Second question is, what's your benefit? Well, it depends. So I got like 85 kilogram, the way God made me. So I'm about, I guess, 95 to 100 kilogram when I'm completely suited up. And it doesn't matter if you got like 85 or 120 kilos or even more. So the preload just adjusts itself. That's awesome. Then maybe you want to go to like areas like the Black Forest, which is quite curvy. Like in America, it's maybe the Tail of the Dragon. You want a different setup than from cruising on a highway or autobahn. So this is just like 4 clicks away, and it works. It's the first electronic suspension that really works without going me on my. It's no counting clicks, no remembering how far to turn your clicks. Just soften the damping. Try it, fine-tune it, enjoy. You really want to go nuts on your home track, sport mode with your personal setup, and you're done. You go on rough roads, like in the Black Forest, you choose the road mode with medium setup. Roads get really bad, individual mode with really super soft setup. And it's all 4-button press away. No oil changes, no new shim kits, the suspension handles it. You want to go on the track, individual mode, set it on hard, and you're done. And those of you sitting at home with an adjustable, like a mechanical adjustable suspension and never fine-tuned it, just silently raise your hand. And this one even works off-road. Yes, other Hypernakeds can do this too, but this one is the cheapest. I say this despite almost having a mental block, but this setup is better than my old Euro 4 Tuono V4. The Speedy 1200RR had also semi-active suspensions, but probably the version 2.0, so which is not the same. This one here also got Öhlins steering damper. It's discreet but necessary because the bike can really quickly and get unstable. The only real complaint I have is like the Autobahn section, so I have to bring it back to Triumph Germany. I have to go like 2.5 hours in German Autobahn, and I just want it to be soft, so I put it on soft. But as soon as I go over like 160, 170 kilometers per hour, it starts to stiffen up again. I guess the bike thinks it's so. Actually, it started at 100 kilometers per hour, which is like 60 miles per hour. It starts to stiffen up, and when you go like a little bit faster than that, it stiffens even more. I think because the bike thinks we're on a racetrack, so it just wants to keep me safe. But I didn't know how to figure that out, how I can avoid this, so I can go gentle on the Autobahn. But yeah, that's the only complaint I have. One more thing to the static setup. I'm like 6 foot tall, so it's 1 meter at 80 centimeters. It feels really comfortable. The seat is quite soft. It's also quite wide, so it's not that easy to get in the hang-off position, but it's fine. The way you sit on the bike is also comfortable. You're a little bit lean forward, a little bit sporty, but it's also fine for long touring distances. So I'm just seriously impressed. Also, the stopping power, I'm gonna call the stopping force of the tires. So if these tires get warm and sticky, man, this thing breaks on a dime. It's really impressive. As soon as there's one drop of rain, it's really scary how these tires don't work anymore. But if they're warm, man, they're awesome. And please allow me to compare it to the Streetfighter V2S, which I just tested 2 weeks ago, which also has a really great suspension and covers a wide range. The Speedy covers the same range from race to vacation, but in more extreme. So it's really soft if you want to go soft. And if you want to go hard, it's knuckle hard. I don't think a conventional suspension can achieve this, so I suspect it's like the engine. The suspension 2 is the best I've ever ridden. And no, I'm not paid for this test. Actually, why not Triumph? Well, the suspension is from Öhlins anyway, so yeah. So when it comes to the gearbox, I guess it's fine. So the gears are pretty long, but I think you couldn't make them much shorter because then you will just not be able to ride it on 2 wheels. The first gear is like 120 kilometers, which is quite long, and the second is, like if you read it on the speedometer, is like 150 kilometers per hour. So it's a quite long gear ratio, but still it fits to the engine. So when I was driving on German country roads, I was just using second and third gear. If I had like longer distances, driving 100, 120 kilometers per hour, I shifted to fourth gear, but fifth and sixth gear is just for Autobahn, I guess. Didn't use them too much. If you really need to go slow, like 30 kilometers per hour, you use first or second gear. 50, like in German inner cities, is like third or maybe fourth gear. You can also use the fifth one. You don't have a chain slack from that, but yeah, it's really not necessary. And overall, the gear ratio just it just works. So it takes a little bit more force to step the gears up and down. It's not like the Ducati where you just touch it slightly. You just need to press it a little bit. That's fine. Whenever I was wheeling and I tried to shift up in second gear, I always landed in neutral. So you just need a little bit more force. And the coolest thing about the gearbox is it sounds awesome. It sounds like you're like, I'm a hunter in Germany, so I got guns, and it feels like you're putting a bullet inside your rifle, like really sounds awesome. So I like the gear ratio. I like the gearbox. Also, if you want to overtake, like in second gear, like from 4,000 to 8,500 revolutions, it just pulls. Same in the third gear. So as I said, if you don't want to tailgate something, just shift up and you're safe. Normally you shift down. This one, it's better you shift up. It's the same on a Superduke actually. On the electronic side, I really got a lot of complaints with Triumph. I really hated the dashboard of the Street Triple. So plus you couldn't wheelie the old 1200, and I was in this first presentation of the new model, and they said you can turn off the wheelie control. I was puking. I was so fed up with this. Like, why we want to build a hooligan bike which you can't wheelie? But they made some changes on this one. So yes, you can't turn off the wheelie control, but it has 4 stages which you can use. So the stage 1 is the wheel does not come up, it's just slightly above the ground. Second stage is like it comes up like, I don't know how you call it, in 2 inches. The third one is like a little bit higher, and in the fourth setup it's like, I don't know, it's like 40 centimeters, 50 centimeters in first gear. It gets higher in second gear, but if you want to wheel it in second gear, you have to drive like 100 kilometers per hour or 60 miles per hour. And we couldn't make pictures of that here, so I can show you that, but it goes a little bit higher, like you need to be careful when you're German, like this height in second gear. Yeah, so this turned out from a not wheeling machine like the old 1200, or I mean you could wheel the old 1200 when you turn off the traction control completely, which you don't have to do here. So this is now wheelie trainer, which is awesome. The menu itself, it looks fine. You have these speedo in the middle all the time, then you switch to the right side and you go deep into the menu, which is also well done. You got all the information you need. You got a cruise control. So it's the first time, like normally my German videos I really rant about Triumph's electronics, but this time it's pretty decent. The traction control works perfectly. It works very, very refined. These electronics, the first time I sailed on a Triumph, are really, really impressive and good. So maybe you want to buy this bike not only for the twisties, but also for vacation. The fuel capacity should be 15.5 liters. The bike was completely empty. I filled it up again at the gas station with 13 point something. So this gives you a reach about 200 to 230 kilometers. So fuel consumption is roughly about 7 liters per 100 kilometers. If you're looking for wind protection, you might look at some different bikes, because like this has 0 wind protection. It's had even less than a Streetfighter, which is hardly possible, but well. Biggest point where Triumph shines out really build quality. This is like really awesome on a Triumph. So wherever you look, it's just really perfect. Like all parts which are painted, or all the stickers are overpainted, so you can't peel them off. All the screws, even they have special screws. Like everything is really perfect. I just found like 2 spots which are not ideal, but well, it's really an awesome build machine. The only thing I want to complain is the prices from Triumph for the exterior stuff, like the windscreen or the heated grips for 250 euros. Like, plus you need to pay the mechanic to install them. That's come on, that's not cool. So to sum this up, like this video is obviously my first English video, so it's a bit shorter than my German videos. Like German reviews are like 30 minutes, so I'm trying to improve my English skills. I'm trying to get longer videos with more details also for your English viewers. I will translate all the tables and graphics into English, so maybe I make them German and English somehow, I don't know. But I thought like there are a lot of more than German bikers out there, so maybe you enjoy my reviews as well. And I think it helps me to improve my English skills. So be gentle on me on my first English video. As I said, the next ones, I hope they are a little bit longer, with a little bit more details. Maybe I'm gonna try to use some AI, but I found no tool which kind of sounds like I do, or sounds realistic, or like the lip sync is off, and yeah, I really don't want that for you. So you won't see that much videos on this English channel. If you want, check out the German channel and try the YouTube translation. Would be happy to see some of you there, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and see you next time.